Chaitanya Bhagavat chapter 10, a new chapter, Pundarik Vidinidhi Mahima. So in this chapter we'll hear the glories of Pundarik Vidinidhi and Swarup Damodar and some other devotees of the Lord. First there's an introduction of a few chapters before we begin our lessons and leelas from Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is the Mangalacharan, the auspicious invocatory verses spoken by the author, Vedavyas Vrindavan Das Thakur. Jaya Jaya Gora Chandra Srivatsalam Channa Jaya Shachi Garba Ratna Dhamma Sanatan Jaya Sankirtana Priya Gauranga Gopal Jaya Shishta Janapriya Jaya Dushtakal Bhakta Goshti Sahita Gauranga Jaya Jai Shunile Chaitanya Katha Bhakti Labhyahai Henamotte Vaikunta Nayak Nyasi Rupe Biharena Bhakta Goshti Laiya Kotuke. How is it? Bala? All glories to Sri Gaura Chandra, who bears the mark of Srivats on his beautiful golden chest. All glories to the jewel of Mother Sachi's womb, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, personification of Sanatan Dharma. Need to move up. Jai Nitai. Text 2. This is Mangalacharan, chapter 10, Pundarik Vidinidhi Mahima, the glories of Pundarik Vidinidhi. The ambience is so nice, huh? Even the bells are in Duital. Hear it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Verse 2. All glories to Gauranga Gopal, who enjoys the performance of Sankirtan. All glories to the Supreme Lord, who is dear to the devotees and who is death to the miscreants. Dushtakal, the Dushta Jana. Dushta Jana means the bad men, and he's Kal, means the time factor. Purport by Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. Since Sri Gaura Sundar is Krishna Chandra himself, Swayam Bhagavan, he is called Gauranga Gopal. The special characteristics of Sri Gaura Sundar's pastimes is the glorification of topics regarding Krishna. Since activities like worship and meditation are unable to fully manifest the Supreme Lord. This is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's repeated emphasis on Kirtan. Kirtan Prabhavi is one shloka he has in Prakata Rasa Shatadushani or whatever. 100 arguments against materialistic ras, Prakrita ras. Imagining it, one is relishing Bhakti ras before he's attained a level of Bhav, which is very exalted, high position. Bhav. First comes Anartha Nivritti, Nishta Ruchi. So he emphasizes the Prabhav, the influence and power, effect of Kirtan, Sankirtan. Although in the previous ages, 500 years ago, Narottam Das Thakur and Prem Bhakti Chandrika, he's explaining that Smarana Anga. He says the Mukhya Anga of Raganuga Bhakti, Ragmarg, is Smaran, meditation. But it's very difficult in this age, and it's becoming more and more difficult as one is well aware of all the distractions in the environment, subtle and gross environment, so meditation is quite difficult. Although that's the goal, Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam. And in these three features of Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam, then all the other aspects, the Navaveda Bhakti, are included. There is Padasevanam in the mind, there is Archanam in the mind, there is Vandanam that can be external, Sutis and Stotra, Sankhya Purva Kadama Gana not to be. And then there's of course service in the mind, dasyam, and becoming friend as the love increases. And the love may grow beyond sakyam to atma-vedanam. Atma-vedanam is gopi bhav. The gopi bhav is atma-vedanam, the full dedication of everything. Atma means body, mind and words, and heart. So only in Madhura Bhav do we have this Nija Angadiya, as we find in the characteristics of the different rasas. Each has two characteristics. Shanta has two, we heard yesterday. Krishna Nishta and Krishna Tyag. And then, what's Dasya? Mamata, remember? Mamata. And something about Seva Nishta, I think. Mamata. And Dasya, Rati. Then remember Vatsalya? What's Vatsalya? Palana Poshana, nourishing and protecting, and Tadana Bhartsana. Tadana Bhartsana means punishing. Then Madhura Bhav and Madhurati, the final one is Tadana Bhartsana Tadana Bhartsana, the final one in Madhura Bhav is Nija Anga Diya, giving all your body. So he's emphasizing Sankirtan. Then I want to repeat this again, the sentence of Bhaktisanta Saraswati. The special characteristics of Sri Gaurasundar's Leela. What is the special characteristic? The let's say, Vishesh Gun of Gaur Leela. So Gaur Leela means pastimes, but there's also teachings, Shiksha, Chaitanya Shikshamritam. These are specific verses, 8 specific verses, teaching the Sambandha Abhideya and Prayojana of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But his Leelas, there's Leela, and every Leela there's so much tattva, packed in every single pastime of Krishna. Krishna's having a pastime on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And that's the pastime where, what's the pastime? He becomes Parthasarathi. He becomes a chariot driver for Arjuna. So he simply drives a chariot as a loving reciprocation with his pure devotee Arjuna? No, there's so much teaching, shiksha, going on, a most valuable teaching, Bhagavad Gita. So wherever the Lord's having pastimes, even when there's Ras Leela, there's so much teaching, Rasa Tattva and Prema Tattva, the ultimate Prema, the Viraha, the Sambhog, many things are told there. So now we have Gaur Leela. So Bhaktisanta Saraswati is saying, what is the Vishesh Gun? What is the Vishesh Gun, the special characteristic of Gauranga's Leela, he says, is, because that's what the verse, no, it doesn't say here, but that's there. He says, what is the special, the Vishesh Gun of Gaurasundar's pastimes is glorification of topics regarding Krishna. Means Harikatam, Tapakatamritam, Tapta Jivanam. So everywhere there's Harikatha. He's attending Harikatha every evening until to Gopinath, hearing Gadadhar Pandit speak the Bhagavatam. So much he's relishing. So there's Kirti. Kirti is Harikatha. Kirti. Hearing the Kirti. Kirti means Yash. The fame of the Lord is Kirti. So when one is hearing a class about Krishna's teachings, his pastimes, that's Krishna Kirti. Krishna Kirti, Radha Kirti, Radha Krishna Kirti, their name and fame, glories. And then when there's Sankirtan, as many people get together and just, then they have, many people get together and everyone's hearing and everyone's chanting. But when there's Kirti, one person's speaking and everyone is listening. Gadadhar Pandit is speaking in Tata Gopinath, and Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Maharaj Parikshit, Kashi Mishra, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and so many others are sitting around, and all the Aryan Vaishnavas, Kanaya Kutiya, and Jagannatha Pandit, and Chota Haridas. They're all in the assembly, hearing the Harikatha, and one person speaking. That's Kirti. But Sankirtan, everyone's hearing, and everyone's chanting. So this is, then what kind of Sankirtan? There's Nam Sankirtan. That's what we say. Sometimes it's Hari Nam Sankirtan. There's also Hari Gun Sankirtan. There's a Sankirtan of Krishna's names. Yashu Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadava. And then there's Leela Kirtan. Within that Kirtan, there's a beginning point and an end point. And there's so many padas or verses that explain Nishat, Nikunja Banga, Leela Kirtan. which is Sankirtan or Leela Kirtan. And then it's actually Leela Sankirtan because everyone's hearing, everyone's chanting, and there's a lead singing. Then the parrots came, then the coquilles come in the tree, and they started chirping and singing. And then Krishna and Radha were gradually waking up in the Nikunja Bhanga, breaking the Leela in the pastimes, Nidhivan. So that they'll sing a song like that in Bengali, and the refrain and like this. So this is the characteristic. Kirti and Sankirtan is a special characteristic. Now that being said, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are giving a specific teaching for all humanity in the age of Kali. What's important? What's important is Harikatha, Kirti, and Sankirtan. Nam Sankirtan primarily, because it's so powerful in purifying it. Because in Nam, Prem Nam Sankirtan, there's so much, because every word, every single word you're chanting is so powerful. Maha Mantra. But in Leela Kirtan, there's verbs, there's adjectives, there's so many descriptions of the Leela. And so that when you say cuckoo, it's not Prem Nam Sankirtan. When you say Gopal, Govinda, Radha, this is Prem Nam Sankirtan. So that's why in Nam Sankirtan, Hare Krishna, every single word is Prem Nam Sankirtan, full of power. Nam Nama Kali Bahoda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amata Smaranena Kala Hidad Shita Vakripa Bhagavan Namapi Durdevam Vajisham Ihajini Nanaraga. And by chanting those names, you get so much anurag, so much attachment to the Lord. By chanting Nam Sankirtan, you get attachment to Krishna's guna, his qualities, and his pastimes, and you get the purity to remember it. So now he goes on and says, activities like archanam and dhyanam or smaranam are unable to fully manifest the Supreme Lord. Just by doing smaran. Smaran means dhyan, rup dhyan, lila dhyan. That's called dhyan, smaranam. And then archanam, because it's very popular in Chaitya Yuga, archanam was everywhere. That was the primary means of fixing the mind on God, becoming absorbed in God, and becoming attached to God and purified by the rites and rituals of archanam, the yamas and niyams and vidhi nisheda of deity worship and Chaitya Yuga. So that's why it's overlapping. It's people have so much penchant and so much natural ruchi for deity worship. Oh, I want some deities. They haven't even read Bhagavad Gita, but people say, oh, I want Radha and Krishna deities. Because there's samskara in their chitta, in their consciousness. Because life after life after life. It was only 5,000 years ago, the conclusion of Dwapara Yuga. How many lifetimes is that? 50 lifetimes ago. You live to be 100. So you're carrying that software around, birth after birth. The mind is traveling. Deity worship, deity worship, deity worship, deity worship, deities 50 lifetimes ago, deity worship, 49 lifetimes, and 48, and 46, and 44, and now this lifetime. I want deities. Why you want deities and want to worship them when you're 18, but an 18-year-old German girl has no interest. She's also had 50 lifetimes. So we have to think about that. So he's saying, the Lord of this age is not the Lord of Yajna, not the Lord of, there's Yoga, the Lord of Yoga, Narayan Rishis, and there's the Lord of Yajna, and then there's the Lord of worship, Prithu is Yajna worship, and then finally you come to Kali Yuga, the Lord of this age, the avatar of this age is Krishna Varnam, which we saw Krishna Sangopanga Shaparshanam, Yagyas and Kirtana Priya Yajanti Sameja. Kalir Darshan He Raja Nasti Eka Mahagunan Kirtana Deva Krishna Sya Mukta Sangha Param Vraja. That the Kalir Darshan He Rajan. There's too many faults and difficulties. You want to do Agnihotra every day, or you want to do Pitra Yagya, or you want to do Sama Yagya, or you want to do Shanti Puja, or Satyanarayan Puja and Yagya, or even Vivaha Yagya. Use all kinds of dalda and base ghee. And then you keep a goshala and you raise cows till you get pure ghee, but then when bulls are born you throw them in the street and they all get slaughtered. So the whole thing is so complicated. On one side, oh, we're using pure ghee in our yajna. I've been in many ashrams and they're doing these yajnas. And they're keeping 18 cows. And I say, there's no, you have any babies? Yeah, we have 3 little baby girls. I said, where's the males? Oh, they went here and there. So unmentionable. So therefore, the only thing that works, because there's so many faults in this age, the only thing that works is Nam Sankirtan. At least that can bring us to the quality. Smaran, of course, Shravanam, Kirtan, Smaran. This is all one form. It's actually one absorption. When one is in love with the Lord, he's always glorifying Him, His name. He's always when one is in love with the Lord, the level of Bhav, he's always hearing Harikatha and chanting His glories. And because he's always hearing and chanting, then automatically Smaran comes. Kirtana Parbhave Smarana Have. That Kirtan has that power and influence, especially in this age. It's surcharged in this age. Kirtan is the way to get the power of purity and steadiness and remove all the vikshepa and distractions, so we can do Smaran and moves us quickly through Anartha Nivritti, so we can become steady. Archanam and Dhyanam. So that means what ages were just knocked off here? All the practices of Satyuga, meditation, Dhyanam, and all the practices of Treta Yuga, Archanam, Yagya. He doesn't even mention Yagyas, Ashwamedha Yagya, Gomedha Yagya. Don't even mention that. Because a lot of people, there's no need to mention that particular age. He's only talking about the two previous ages. One previous and one for the beginning age of Satya, then the recent age of Tretya before, preceding Kali. And he said, doesn't work. Because they're still carried over here quite a bit. Meditations where, I'm doing meditation. And then Archanam. Everywhere Archanam. And everyone's always, they're building a big, big temple, another big, big temple, and then big, big temple, big, big temple. Very good. Why did they build a temple, a Ram Sankirtan temple? Reminds me, there's one famous person in Vrindavan, in Mathura, and every single yatri, when they come, and they must go to this temple. Maybe because you don't usually come as yatris, you come as bhaktas. So you have a particular focus where you want to go. But the generic yatri or pilgrim that wants to visit the sacred holy places, they'll go to Haridwar and Rishikesh and Benares and Mathura, Vrindavan. So they may be worshippers of Shiva or Lakshmi Narayan or Dwarkadish, wherever, from all over India. And they ride by train, principally train or bus, the masses of yatris, at least previously, from distant places. They come by train or bus. And then they go Janmastan, see Krishna Janmastan, Vishwangat Snan, and then they come to Vrindavan. And they see, just slipped my mind what they see. At any rate, they see so many temples. And there's one famous temple of Pagal Baba. And every single yatri goes to see that temple. He is very intelligent, so he made it easy to find. And easy, it's at the extreme border, just near Akrura Ghat, which is the city limits, so to speak. The city limits of Vrindavan, because after that Akrura Ghat, then that's as far as Krishna and Balaram went. That's it, Akrura, stop the chariot. Let's take a snan. And so he went and did his anik in the Jamuna, and Krishna and Balaram did a little jadoo on Uncle Akrura, bewildered him, and then they went back invisibly in their original Swayam Bhagavan forms, and in Vaibhav Prakash, they went on as Mathuranath and got back in the chariot. He was totally bewildered, but he was already in the water. He saw in the water that Balaram, which was what happened, he became Anantashesh, and Krishna became Vishnu. They're lying there. He's chanting Gayatri, doing meditation. He's just supposed to do mantra dhyan. Whoa, this is quite a darshan I'm seeing. This is another form of Krishna and Balaram. I know, by tattva. But they're on the chariot, and they go back to the chariot, and they're sitting there. He goes back to the river, and so at that point, Pagal Baba made his temple. It's 7 stories to represent the 7 layers, and 7 upper planetary systems, and that the 7 is the basic point here. So there, when you go there, we have gone there. We went there because one friend of ours is a photographer, and years ago, you get very beautiful pictures from there, the whole landscape and panorama of Vrindavan. So on the 7th floor, and then you climb up even higher to the roof of that floor, and you see so far around. There wasn't much air pollution. Now there's so much air pollution you can't see anything in your camera. But you can see forest and then temple domes sticking up. Very beautiful type of pictures. Very nice. So I went there once with him on a photo expedition, or whatever you call it. And they have, every floor they have different deities. So the ground floor is, when you come in, they have a 24-hour kirtan, Nam Sankirtan, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Nam Sankirtan. It's going on for so many years. Of course, Bhagavad Baba has an interesting story which we won't tell at this point, but interesting personality. He was a chain smoker, by the way. I'll just say that much. Chain smoker means you're smoking one cigarette, and then it's almost getting out, and then you go like this, and you light the second one, and you take it down and put it to your mouth. That's called chain. You know, chain. This is one link in the chain, and this is another link. Huh? So you're smoking one, and you light a cigarette. It's not bidis. He was wealthy. And you get that one lit, and very interesting person. I know people that have met him and told me about some Brijvasis. So then it's Harinam Sankirtan, you walk in, and it's maybe Shiva and Parvati, and then Radha Krishna or Sita Ram. And finally on the 7th floor is the idea is that this is the top deity. You've reached the top. And there you go in a small altar, beautiful little Parakoshta chamber, and there's a little Singhasan. There's a beautiful carving out of stone. It's been like 36 years since I've seen. A little forgetful. But there's some stone or metal or whatever, something there, murti, and it's a symbol of Om. It's the, I guess, Sanskrit letters that make A-U-M, Om, that kind of this and that, with a dot, all that. And his idea that the top, after all these, because Om is the sound vibration of the Omkara, is Brahman, and then Brahman takes form, these various forms in this world, and that's why it's called Bhagavad Baba. So you go up there to the top. Keeping that in mind. So now in Kali Yuga, what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is saying, that Archan doesn't work, and yagyas don't work, and meditation doesn't work. They're on the different levels, but on the top level is the Mahamantra. So I was thinking it'd be nice to make, as we were saying, everyone's opening big mandirs with Murti Puja, just like Treta Yuga. And even in those mandirs, they do different yagyas to attract people and whatnot. But why doesn't someone build a mandir? Well, these are on different floors, and the top floor is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and everyone's doing a Kanda Sankirtan there. And the top floor has huge, like 40,000 square foot dance hall, and the only 40,000 square feet dance hall can fit like 25,000 people can sit there. 25 in that space. And then the altar is just a big neon sign of the Mahamantra and some paintings of Gaura Nitai dancing in Panchatattva, Acharyas, Prabhupada, and like that. If I was built the temple, I would build like that. So many floors for yatris to stay in, and then a huge dance floor, Sankirtan. Kind of like Panchatattva in Mayapur, it's something like that. You go in there as the deities, and that's the thing, that's the real point there. This Sankirtan is the best of all activities for reviving one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is why Gaura's pastimes, that is why in his Gaura pastimes, Sri Krishna Chandra is addressed as Sankirtan Priya. So this basically was a tika on this verse number 2 of the Mangala Charan of chapter 10 of Antya Leela, part 2. Jaya Sankirtana Priya Gauranga Gopal. So So Sankirtan is very dear to Gauranga and Gopal. And the gopis, Gopal and Vrindavan, when the gopis are churning yogurt into butter for the pleasure of Krishna, and their Gar Thakurs, deities in the house, then of course they're singing so many songs about, you guessed it, Gopal. His mischievous activities, his antics and pranks, and everything he does completely captures their heart. So therefore, he likes very much to hear, and the gopis that chant the most attract Krishna the most. The gopis that chant the most, they attract Krishna the most. So some gopi gets up very early and milks the cows, understanding within her heart, because when one is tadatmika with Bhagavan, or tadatmika with Gurudev, then he can read his heart. Reading minds is the business of yogis. There's a very minor siddhi to be able to read someone's mind. It's very easy, not very difficult to accomplish mind reading. But anima siddhi and lagima siddhi and kamavasita siddhi and ishata siddhi, all these powerful siddhis, they're a little more practice required to become adept. So the yogi can learn to read someone's mind with little practice, but to read someone's heart is a little more difficult. So the gopis are tadatmika with the heart of Krishna. They know his heart. So then they can understand, today Krishna is going to come stealing butter in our part of the neighborhood of Gokul, because Gokul is many people living there. And she's thinking, I want him to come to my house first. So she got up very early, and she's churning this yogurt that she made late in the night, and she's churning and she's singing very loudly. And even her husband came and said, "Hey, you're making too much noise with your Sankirtan. You're making too much noise. Can't sleep." And she said, forget it, don't worry about it. So she's churning and singing beautiful songs about Gopal. And Krishna is coming with the boys just when she's about to take that butter out and put in some clay pot and then put in her storeroom. And the boys are sitting down outside in the village nearby a group of houses, and they're sitting under a huge banyan tree, and they're making their plan for theft. Krishna's gang of thieves, Makanchor gang, the choras, Gaon Kachoras, the village thieves. So they're saying, listen boys, which house should we rob from today? And then they say, let's think. Krishna says, you hear that? Some gopi is already up and she's loudly singing my glories. And it's very dear to me. This Sankirtan of hers is very dear to me. Very dear, Sankirtan Priya. So then Krishna tells the boys, he says, listen, we should go to this gopi's house first. Go to her house first. She'll be the lucky one that will break in and steal her butter first. So she attracted the Lord by her Sankirtan, and he came and stole from her first. So this is why Bhaktisiddhanta is saying that Sankirtan is the best of all activities for reviving one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is why in his Gaur pastimes, in this verse, Amangalacharan, Sri Krishna Chandra is addressed as Sankirtan Priya. Bhagavan, Krishna, who is very fond, he loves Sankirtan, according to Vrindavan Das Thakur. This is the Tika of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Krishna is the supreme Lord of all devotees. So this is the Tika. Now the next verse of Mangalacharan. Bhakta Goshti Sahita Gauranga Jai. Actually I read this already. Jai Jai. All glories to Sri Gauranga along with his devotees. By hearing these topics about Lord Chaitanya, one attains devotional service. Chaitanya Katha Bhakti Labhyahai. So Chaitanya Katha gives bhakti, because that's Nam, Rup, Gun, Leela. When Gauranga Mahaprabhu was here personally, he personally distributed Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurachase Namah. He personally distributed prem to one and all, qualified and unqualified, near and far, dear and adir, dhira and adir. And when one hears the topics about Lord Chaitanya, then in those topics, Chaitanya Katha, that is also, one can also get that bhakti that he was distributing when he was personally here, because there's no difference between Nam, Rup, Gun and Leela. The topics of the Lord are the name of the Lord and the Leelas of the Lord. And when one hears them with the pure heart, or chants about the Lord with a pure heart, then what happens? One sees the form of the Lord, Rup Darshan. So Chaitanya Katha, Bhakti Labhyahai. By hearing topics about Lord Chaitanya, you attain devotion, bhakti, and then that bhakti goes through stages of developing and increasing and purifying and preparing the heart for what? The development of bhakti and the deepening and increasing of bhakti are meant to bring one to darshan of the Lord. Internal darshan at the level of bhav, and external darshan at the level of prema. Then leaving this body and going to Boma Navadvip or Vrindavan and seeing Sakshatkar Gauranga day and night and Radha Krishna day and night. So bhakti takes us to the Rup. And when Lord Chaitanya was here, everything was there, just right in front of everyone. The form, the name, qualities. It was very beautiful. He's saying, Chaitanya Katha gives bhakti. Next verse. In this way, the hero of Vaikuntha Nayak, in the form of a sannyasi, enjoyed blissful pastimes with his devotees. So this is the Virahena, like Bihari, you would say Bihar or Bihari. Can we move these curtains? Viharena Bhakta Goshti Lahe Kotuke. So Bhakta Goshti, with all of his devotees, were making so many wonderful sounds, Goshta. And Lord Chaitanya, he enjoyed Bihar, his pastimes. So this is the Mangalacharana, and with glorification of the identity and contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then preparing us for the next set of Leelas and pastimes, lessons in Leelas from Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is Pundarik Mahima, the glories of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. We'll also hear the glories of Swarup Damodar. And this first Leela here, from verse 5 to 21, is entitled Real Darshan of Lord Jagannatha. What does it mean to have darshan of the Thakurji in the temple? If there's real darshan, then there must be not complete. Every darshan is real, but let's say the perfect darshan of Jagannath, the correct darshan. So let's hear what that is. This is a Leela of Lord Chaitanya with his Priya Bhakta, Advaitacharya, and there'll be some teaching or conclusion of this Leela. And let's hear what that is. Ekdina Vasya Achena Prabhu Sukhe Hena Kale Shri Advaita Aila Sanmukhe. Once upon a time, Ekdin, Mahaprabhu was sitting comfortably in a happy mood, Prabhu Sukhe, Vasya Achena. He was sitting in a very happy mood, relaxed, comfortable. Then, at that time, Hinakali, Shri Advaita Samukhe, he became face-to-face, Samukhe, with Advaitacharya. Advaita came before him and met him. Vasilena Advaita Prabhure Namaskari Hasi Advaitere Jignasena Gora Hari. So there's Namaskari, Gora Hari. There's so much mercy in this land of Vrindavan. The dust is flying in the air. The mercy is flying in the air. You have your book open for 5 minutes and it's covered with Brajaraj. There's the dust from the feet of the Brajvasis, and the Lord, and Leela Stalis. It's yours for the taking. It's everywhere. Translation. Advaita came before the Lord and offered his pranams and then sat down. Gaurahari smiled, hasya, and he was very happy because already Lord Chaitanya was sukhe, vasya, achena samukhe. He was sitting by himself, or maybe with others. He was in a very happy mood. He's in a very happy mood, and then he saw his beloved, his Priya Bhakta, Advaitacharya. So if you're happy, you're already feeling happy, at peace with yourself, relishing some inner joy in relationship with Krishna, or your own inner being, your inner self. Then a very dear beloved comes, unexpected, unannounced. Then your happiness will increase more, will go more and more. So Advaita sat down and the Lord smiled and he said, how are you? Is everything fine? Santoshe Balena Prabhu Kahata Acharya Kota Haite Haila Karya Kon Karya. So the Lord was sukhe. Before we heard he was sitting by himself, he was sukhe. Now he's met Advaita and he's hasi, from sukhe to hasi. He's smiling, even hasi means happy, laughing. Now he's santoshe. It's increasing gradients, ever increasing increments of joy. First his mind was feeling happy. And then he saw his friend and he smiled. Because when you're sitting by yourself, you're not smiling. You're just ruminating on some sweet reminiscences. Ruminating is what cows do. That when they take some grass and they swallow in one stomach and then they bring it up and put it somewhere else or wherever it goes, I don't know. But they ruminate. They swallow, then they come back and chew. They're chewing the chew. The cows are doing they're chewing the chew, but they're getting some rust. They're getting rust out of it. They're getting this amrit rust called milk, dood ka ras, go ras. They say on this mistan bandar. They say go ras, should go ras mistan bandar or something. Pat meda. On their boxes, sweets is go ras, because milk is called go ras. It is really ras. It is sanjivani ras, because it gives life. Milk. So then you see a friend, you smile, and then there's some exchanges, and then your heart starts to expand more in the presence of your friend, and then you feel satisfied, so happy to be with your beloved friend, Santoshe. Santoshe Balena Prabhu Kahata Acharya. Oh Acharya, where have you come from? What were you doing? This is a common social intercourse. When you meet a friend, where are you coming from? Or as Prabhupada would say when he meet his devotees, where from you are coming? Brahmananda, where from you are coming? Because Prabhupada would speak English using Hindi grammar. Where from, because in Hindi I think it's something like that. Where from you are coming. You can hear. Brahmananda, Gargamuni. Hey, Gargamani. He probably had a nickname for him, Gargamani. So, Gargamani, where from you are coming? Oh, Prabhupada, I just came from Nairobi. I came from Nairobi and we were preaching there and I just came a few days before the festival because I wanted to be with you. Very good, sit down. Shruti Kirti, bring prasad. Prabhupada, we only have some sandesh. Bring it. And go make some arrangements for his lunch. So tell me, how is the preaching? Oh, Prabhupada. And it goes like this. So in the same way, Mahaprabhu is meeting Advaita Acharya. Nada. He calls him in his ecstasy. He doesn't call him Advaita Acharya. Hello, Mr. Acharya. He says, nada. Narayan, because he's Narayan, he's Mahavishnu. Taking part in Gaur Leela. Who wouldn't want to take part? You don't want to take part. Mahavishnu wants to take part. Shiva wants to take part. Every demigod comes down every night and takes a Brahman form to dance in Shiva Sangam. And Lord Chaitanya is looking, oh, there's Shiva, there's Brahma. Just like Prabhupada was in Buri Place in London, at the temple, and the evening, same as, because evening kirtan is Kiba Jayo Gora Chandi. So when the pure devotees singing Sandhyarti Kirtan is a Nitya Leela Gaur Leela in Shivasangam, Yoga Pit, the evening Yoga Pit of Mayapur. And who's there? Narahari Sakar, Madhumati Saki, and Advaita and Gadara, Radharani, everyone's there in the Yoga Pit. And then they're doing puja at the Yoga Pit, lotus, holding chamar and holding chata, umbrella, all these things. So Prabhupada singing this song just as Mahaprabhu's singing, and this whole Leela is going on, and Shiva Sangam, and Nitya Leela, Nitya Navadvip, and who's there? And Lord Gauranga is looking like this, oh, there's Brahma, there's Narada Muni, there's Shiva. So Prabhupada is there in Buri Place, and the kirtan's going on, they're singing, and he's sitting on his asana, they're leading. He looks up, oh, there's Narada Muni, there's Brahma. They've come to the Gaur Leela, Gaur Kirtan. Gaur Kirtan is Leela Kirtan. And it's pure devotees singing, so Leela is manifesting there, so they're taking part. And then Prabhupada's looking like this, and smiling, very happy. And devotees said, after Prabhupada, you were so happy in the Kirtan, you liked my Kirtan? So no, actually nice, but today you have to make some small asans, small singasanas, and put on the altar. Because last night, Brahma, for many nights, Brahma is coming. He's the head of our Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, and Narada Muni and his son are coming to attend the evening kirtan. When I came to India, and I went in I don't know when it was, 81 or something. 1 year, when I went to Buri Place on the way we stopped in London and came to India, 80, 81. I went there, and those singasans were there, and there even devotees have pictures of them, but maybe they're not there anymore, I don't know. But this is a pastime. So now he's asking him, where have you been, what are you doing? So wait the replies, it's a conversation, dialogue, the Lord and his devotees. Advaita Balena Deki Lana Jagannath, Tabaya Lana E Tumaras Sakshat. Advaita Prabhu said, Prabhu, I went to take Darshan of Jagannatha in Sri Mandir, and then I came here to see you. Prabhu Bali, Jagannath Shri Mukha Dekhiya, Tabari Ki Karila, Kaya Dekhi Taha. Then the Lord said, Advaita, Nara, after you took Darshan of the beautiful face of Jagannath, then what did you do? Then what would we say? I went to Anand Bazaar and took Mahaprasad, because Anand Bazaar is where you take the Mahaprasad there, inside the temple. I took Darshan, and then Prasad, or in Delhi temple, I took Darshan, then I went and got some samosas. They have a samosa shop there in the temple grounds, Mahaprasad samosas. Then what? I had ice cream samosas, whatever. So then he said, because usually most people don't do what Advaita did. So then he said, what did you do? Advaita said, Advaita Balena, Agi Deki Jagannath, Tabe Karilan, Pradakshina Panchashata. After taking Darshan, the beautiful face of Jagannath Swami, then I proceeded to do Pradakshina. I circumambulated the deity 5 times, not 1, not 3 times. Should go 3 times around. No, 5. And then he said, the translation, it says Panchashata. Well, it says Panchasat, so Sat means 7, and the translation is correct. It said I guess he didn't remember, because it's when you lose count sometimes. So wait to try, he said, I went 5 or 7 times. He says Panchasat. 5 to 7 times. It's very interesting in India. Many interesting things. Get ready, there'll be a long list of them. It's a common phrase I use every 2 minutes. But in America, I know, at least in America, we say, someone's going somewhere, when you'll be back? I'll be back in 1 or 2 days, 3 or 4 days, 1 or 2, 3 or 4. But in India, and I think it's tradition, when someone is saying this, they say interval, there's a gap. They don't say 1 or 2 days, or 3 or 4. They say 1 or 3, 3 or 5, 5 or 7. Do you follow what I'm saying? It's actually five. I'll be back in 5 to 7 days. But in America, they never say that. So that's why it says panchasat. I went 5. In America, you're not American, you don't know. But in America, you say, how many times did you parikrama? Oh, 5 or 6 times. You're right? You were in America, is it right? 2 or 3 times, 5 or 6 times. Someone's going to say 5 or 7 times. No. But this is, I don't know, is this the same in Hindi? Do you have anything like this?
We say 10, 12, 10, 12.
No.
2, 4, 2, 4.
So I'm correct in my observation. So I've observed that in being here, and then I see it now in the Shastra. So this, apparently this is the auspicious way to talk about things. If Advaita is saying it, then it must be right. And so India is based on all good things, but they're trying to imitate America, which we can see where that's going. There's an extensive purport here, citing, it goes on for 4 or 5 pages, all about parikrama of the temple. Quoting Hari Bhakti Vilas, which again is quoting all kinds of Puranas, Nrsimha Purana, and Varaha Purana, Skanda Purana, Nrsimha Purana, Skanda Purana, Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, Briha Naradiya Purana, so many basically Puranic evidence, Puranic, Praman, establishing the facts, the Praman, the evidence based on the Puran, which is a general standard in Pancharatrika literatures. In Pancharatrika literatures, like these type of books, Leelas and whatnot, of the Lord, histories and Leelas, and they will cite other Puranas to support the points. So this is the subject matter. The subject matter is obviously described in all the Puranas, and these are some key verses from key Puranas which are addressing the specific topic at hand, which is the verse and the Leela. In the context of the Leela, we're hearing about a devotional practice called parikrama, pradakshina. There are 9 limbs of devotion. What type of devotion is that called? Come under the category of what? Padasevanam. Shravanam, Kirtan, Vishnu Swarnam, Padasevanam. So Padasevanam is the 4th limb of devotion, and that is it includes Tulsi Seva, Vaishnava Seva, Prasad distribution, parikrama, etc. Dham Seva, cleaning Radhakund, or these type of activities are Padasevanam. So it's good. Or cleaning any kund, or doing any good thing, cleaning, sweeping, brooming, and the holy dham is all Padasevanam and pleasing to the Lord. So now we'll just say some translations. One should perform circumambulation with devotion while chanting the holy names of the Lord. This is the basic theme. I'll give you a summary of these points, which I've also learned from my Gurudev, that one does not do silent parikrama. That's the first principle. Oftentimes people walk around chanting japa. Parikrama is only done when the deity is giving darshan, the doors are open. One should not go around the deities if there's a facility in the temple, nor around the temple if there's a facility to circumambulate the temple when the darshan doors are closed, because the Lord is busy, sleeping, or eating, or having his leelas. So we should not disturb the Lord. This is a rule, law, niyam. And when one's going around, then he should be chanting shlokas, Brahma Samhita shlokas, or some song and glorification, Lord, not chanting manasik japa. Not chanting manasik japa, or what's it, upamshu japa, which is whispering Hare Krishna. This is not the way. If anyone's ever gone with me, maybe they've seen that I usually make a lot of noise. Just that. So this is correct. And then, because it says Shashtanga Vandanam, because it says Namani Kirtayan Shakto, it doesn't say jap, it says Kirtan. Kirtan means loud glorification. Kirtan. That's the Sanskrit. I gave the translation. And then some people, there's a big debate, should you go 3 times? No, you should go 4, minimum, or 5 to 7. Just to be. And then it says Shiva temples Arda Prikama, Arda Pradakshina, Shiva. Shiva to Arda Pradakshinam. Shiva go, you start at one side of the yoni, where outlet or whatever you call it, and then go to the other side like this. You go Arda. You don't do a full circle. Krishna temple, you go all the way around, 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and just you go half like this, back and forth. Shiva temple. And one who circumambulates the temple of Lord Vishnu 4 times in Skanda Purana, he gets the result of going around the whole universe, so that's certainly a lot easier to do. And he gets a better result than going on yatras. All yatras. So the best thing to do is go on yatras and do 4 prikamas of every temple you see. Because we're restless. We want to go on holidays, which can become holy days, when we go to visit temples. And if someone does this, there's all kinds of boons and benedictions to induce one to be a little bit more enthusiastic to serve the Lord and less lazy. So if that doesn't inspire you, then how about this one? If you do it, now, are you listening? If you're a good boy and you go around the temple, you get a lollipop. You get sandesh, burfi, jalebis, rabri, rasmalai, cheese sabji, puris, halava. What do you want? No, you'll get. What will you get? If you're if you're a trader, trading in stocks and bonds and sukriti and punya, which is not exactly pure bhakti. It should be enough to know that the Lord is pleased, because that's how you honor an individual, a saint, a sage, a brahmin, a cow, or to speak of the Lord, by going around them reverentially and glorifying them with great devotion. But you'll be carried on the swan airplane, Hamsa Viman, back to the spiritual world. So there will be no more walking for Johnny. There'll be no more walking for Johnny. If Johnny goes 4 times around the temple, he'll go on if you can understand. It's a very common name, Jack and John in America. And he'll go back to Vaikuntha. And then further, if he circumambulates the temple of the Lord, the Sringa Purana says, he'll go to Hari. Yat tat prapya harem vrajet. Prapya hari vrajet. Braja. He goes, moves, travels to Haridam. Mahanidhi Pran, and if you do this 4 times, you become free from all sins. Sarva Pap Vanira Mukto, and you go to Vaikuntha. So generally all these verses are talking about Vishnu temples and whatnot. So Vaikuntha, of course, is a vast spiritual firmament, Paravyom, the Paravyom, the transcendental Vyom, transcendental atmosphere, sky, as Prabhupada translates. Paravyom, Prabhupada imagine if you're trying to put all these Sanskrit terms into English for the audience. So he translated Paravyom as spiritual sky. And it became a famous incense company, and we distribute a lot of them actually. Spiritual sky, incense, and BTGs, back to Godheads. We heard already in the introduction of the Leela Hasya that Lord Chaitanya was Sukhe Hasya Santoshe. So he's happy, joyful, completely satisfied. And he inquired from the way to, what did you do? I took Darshan. What did you do after that? I circumambulated. So then we had a little bit of a pause there into the discussion of the tattva from the purport, but back to the Leela, which we've frozen in one of our windows of our memory banks. Now, Leela is still there, going on. So now press the pause button off and let it play. And here it is that when Lord heard that he did, Advaitacharya did production 5 to 7 times, what did he do? Because he's already santosh. Nara. Oh, Nara. Pradakshina Shuni Prabhu Hasite Lagila. Hasi Balena Prabhu Tumi Harila Harila. Mahaprabhu heard this. Acha? Pradakshina. You have been thoroughly defeated. You made a mistake, Advaita. Acharya Balena? Ki samagri Haribari Vakshana Dekao Tabe Jiniya Amare. Advaita inquired, How have I lost? I didn't know. What did I lose? And prove, how did you win? You said I lost. Well, how did you win? You said I did production, I lost. I didn't think. I just heard that get free from sins, go to Vaikuntha, flower, it sounds like it got a good deal. No, you lost. Like someone wins the sweepstakes or he gets some kind of lottery. It's gambling, but people do. Or he gets wins $10 million, and he said, I won. I got all this money. And your friend comes, oh, that's too bad. It's very, very bad. What do you mean it's bad? Everyone's telling me it's great. I have 10 million. So many people are lined up to take want a donation. No, it's very bad, very bad. You tell me you really lost everything. What do you mean? Because now you'll be in Maya. You'll forget Krishna. So he's saying, because he's singing, he's a Acharya, he knows all this Nishringa Prana, Briya Naradiya Prana, Skanda Prana, everything. He knows it. Hey, I did a good thing. I followed the Shastras, Shastra Vidhi. And you're telling me I lost, and you're laughing at me. Are Then he's demanding an explanation and answer. So the Lord says, Prabhu Bali, Samagri Shunaha Haribhar, Tumi ye Karila Pradakshina Vyavahar, Jataksham Tumi Prishta Digere Chalila, Tatakshana Tamara ye Darashana Nahila. Listen, you want to hear? Listen, Nara. You want to hear how you lost? You want to know how you lost? Why you lost? Because when you circumambulate Jagannatha Swami, you have to go behind him. And when you go behind him, you are deprived of the beautiful, sweet darshan of Raktadara's shining lotus face. You cannot see. Ami Jatakshana Dari Deki Jagannath Amara Lochanara Najaya Kotata. Whenever I take darshan of Lord Jagannath Advaitaji, my eyes don't move anywhere else. And obviously my eyes are riveted, fixed, fastened, cemented to the beautiful lotus eyes of Padmalochan Jagannath Swami. I am transfixed, stamba. I'm standing next to the Guru stamba, and I become stamba in Sattvic Bhav. Sattvic Bhav. And I start to topple. Because the kamba, that stamba, the kamba next to me, the Guru stamba, that stone column with Guru on the top and the back opposite Jagannath in the back of the temple is not going to move. But when I see Lord Jagannath, I start crying because I see Brajendranath Shamsundar, the flute playing boy of Vrindavan Shamsundar, so sweet, so beautiful, so attractive, charming, enchanting. My heart is just reaching out of my body. I start trembling. My voice chokes up. My hair stands on end. My color changes. My beautiful golden color starts becoming pinkish. And gulabi gore become pinkish gold. I start trembling. I'm about to topple over. I reach out my hand, but there's so much Sudipta Bhavas in me that my whole heart and mind is inflamed with this burning love for the Lord, and that column melts, that Guru Stamba melts and captures my fingerprints. And the wall behind or next to that stone melted and caught the fingerprints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I took that stone, I put it somewhere you can see. You ever saw it when you go to Puri? It's not there, it's somewhere else. Yeah. So that's what happened. So I can't, what to speak of 4 times round and 5 to 7 and flower airplane and all that stuff. Love, you become stunned in love. You can't move. Why move? You're seeing the face of your beloved. Where to go from there? When Sri Gaurasundar would see Jagannath, he would simply gaze at the Lord's lotus face. The sweetness of Jagannath Swami's Sri Mukhe, because he asked him, in the beginning of the whole story, he said, Lord Chaitanya asked, he said, Jagannath Sri Mukha Dekhiya. In the beginning he said, Advaita, Jagannath Sri Mukha Dekha. Did you see the Sri Mukh in the Sri Mandir? The Mandir, Jagannath Swami's Mandir is called Sri Mandir. And that's all the Puri Vasis. Oh, did you go to Sri Mandir? We say, we went to the Jagannath temple. They say, Sri Mandir. He said, did you see the beautiful Sri Mukha, beautiful face? So now when Gaur sees the sweetness of Jagannath Swami's face, it's superior to the sweetness of any other limb, and the sweetness of Jagannath's enchanting smile is superior to the sweetness of his face. The 10th canto is considered to be the face of the Lord. I mean the Braj Leela, then the Ras Leela is a smile of his face. Gaurasundar expressed it that the Lord, Jagannath's lotus face, this is a result of seeing the face of the Lord, is more attractive than his other parts of his body. And the Lord's smile, which is indicative of his pleasure, because the smile, the face is the index of the mind. That's a well-known phrase of Srila Prabhupada, I believe, at least they say. Maybe you can't even find it, but it is a fact. The face is the index of the mind. That if the mind is pleased and satisfied, then the face has that glow, and then if you're happy you smile, etc. Well known. So it indicates that the heart of Jagannath. You can imagine he's so much smiling, Jagannath Swami, by his nature, of Brajendranandan's nature. And when Jagannath, Brajendranandan sees Radharani, sees Gauranga in Radha Bhav, how much he must really smile. Imagine being in the temple, taking darshan, before Lord Chaitanya comes in the temple. You're there 500 years ago, and you're an Aryan Vaishnava, or Aryan person, and you're in a temple, and you're saying, oh, Jagannath smiling, looks so happy today. Then, oh, now he's really smiling. How much is he smiling? His eyes, seems his eyes are moist. What am I seeing? He's moving. No. So, because he doesn't know, way far, because he's very close taking darshan, this Ariyavasi, but way far away in the back of the temple, as far back as you can get, away from the crowded front and center, Lord Chaitanya, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Rasaraj Mahabhav is taking darshan of Jagannath, drinking through the cups of his eyes deeply that beautiful Raktadhara, that beautiful sweet red lips which are anointed with the tambul of Radharani, the prem saturated, Mahabhav prem saturated tambul of Radharani is dripping from his lips, and he sees that very embodiment of Radharani before Gauranga, then so much he must be happy. One can only imagine what that experience would be like. So the Lord Jagannath's smile indicates his pleasure, and it stimulates and acknowledges resolute service. So this is the result of seeing the face of the Lord. When, there's some tattva philosophy here, when one sees the face of the Lord, he will become, if the Lord is happy with that devotee, with his execution of devotional service, the Lord is happy, then he will show it in his face, in his countenance will be some pleasure and happiness. And then when a devotee takes darshan and sees the Lord's face beaming with happiness over the pleasure he feels by the service he's been offered by the pure Vaishnava, then that experience of the devotee will stimulate. First, he acknowledges, his smile indicates he's happy. And why is he happy? Because he's acknowledging resolute service, drida seva. He's acknowledging the wonderful service that's been rendered by his bhakta, and at the same time he's stimulating the same. He's acknowledging, yes, you did wonderful service. I'm very pleased. You've worked so hard to put on this Janmashtami festival for the temple, and 5,000 people came to darshan, and I'm so happy. You had Akhanda Kirtan for 3 days before Janmashtami, and so many things you organized, and I know all about it. I'm so happy. And now I'm acknowledging the service rendered, and I'm stimulating you to do more resolute service of the same kind. Advaita circumambulated Jagannatha 5 to 7 times. His object of vision was the body of the Lord, but Sri Gaurasundar's object of vision was the Lord's lotus face. Thus, Gaurasundar defeated Advaita Prabhu in the contest, because when one walks behind the Lord, he can only see the back half of his body. But when one sees from the front, one can have eye-to-eye contact. What is more pleasurable, stimulating, and satisfying, eye-to-eye contact or seeing the back of someone? Obvious. So we'll have to continue with that Leela tomorrow. Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai.